Welcome to episode 11 of the reading of Michael McCoy's Garden. Today's first entry is dated the 22nd of October 1997. I went back on Monday to start the planting. It didn't get off to a good start. Firstly, I felt a pang of guilt about abandoning my shared parenting duties. Then I arrived at the hardware store to buy a rake and a watering can, only to find that I had no cash and had taken my credit card out of my wallet that morning, leaving it at home. I don't know if a strong coffee on an empty stomach also contributed, but by the time I arrived at the garden, I was in a mild frenzy. I ran from one thing to the next and settled on nothing. There was a very mild sense of self-conscious pleasure as I dug a hole in the deep, crumbling earth with my bare hands to place the first plant, the unexciting but not to be lived without Monarda Donovolki. But nothing was brilliantly placed. The pressure to succeed and to succeed in a tearing hurry was too great. I had to run around and water everything in with a 600ml milk carton that was lying around, since I had no hose, and with a sense of relief to escape, drove home. 23rd of October, 1997. I guess I shouldn't be surprised that the weekend I plan to do most of the planting. The forecast is for 31 degrees Celsius. This is the last weekend before settlement, and I wanted the planting finished by then. I'm a long way from finishing, but my expectations have diminished so far that I now find I've surpassed the revised expectations and feel quite pleased with myself. I try not to think about what I originally wanted to achieve. The planting won't take very long. That is the least of what's left, but I haven't done anything on the woodland garden, and I've decided that I'd quite like to do something significant with the front garden as well. Today I began to move the plants for the gravel garden onto the site from the various places I've been stashing them. The warm weather would not stop me planting those things in pots, as this would disturb the roots only slightly, if at all. But a whole lot of the stuff is coming from other people's gardens, divisions off the side of their plants, and the weather around the time this is done can mean the difference between success or failure. If they're not too stressed, they'll recover quickly, but too much stress could set them back a lot. I can't afford for that to happen, so I'll wait. The last few weeks have been relatively cool, though still dry, and would have been perfect. Who knows what the weather will do now? Today was also the first time for ages that I've looked through my pots of bulbs. Most of them are grown from seed and are as yet not of flowering size. But it was exciting to see things I'd forgotten I had or had imagined long since dead. When you grow hundreds of seed pots, some of which can take a year or so to germinate and some 7 years to flower from seed, you can't keep track of all the fatalities, which is just as well. It would be too painful. I've wonderful things like Nectaroscortum siculum, the seed of which I collected from Great Dixter in East Sussex, England, probably in 1991. They're yet to be near flowering size. I've tended to neglect my seed pots terribly, but not anymore. No siree. There are things like Veratrum album, the seed of which was given to me by Christopher Lloyd on his visit in 1992, which came up like lawn in 1993. This is a very slow one. 3-year-old seedlings of Veratrum nigrum that we bought in about 1992 are yet to flower. If the books say it will take 3 years, I allow 6 with my habit of neglect. Both Allium stipitatum and Allium hollandicum should be approaching flowering size by now, but still look way off it. The troubled conscience is assuaged by the fact that Mount Macedon, where we and the young bulbs have been living for several years, is such a terrible, damp, cool climate for these mostly dry-loving onions. Of all the plants in pots, the one I'm most excited about is Sedum ruprechtii. This was looking sumptuous in bud in Beth Chatto's gravel garden in July 1994, with foliage similar to that of Sedum vera jamison. Always finding Vera irresistible in foliage and disappointingly dirty in flower, I asked Beth what colour the flowers of Sedum ruprechtii were. Cream, she said. I immediately knew I had to have it, somehow. Friends who visited her garden at other times were wildly excited about it also, and I've been pining for it ever since. Then last year, Leo Schofield and I went to visit Bob Cherry, a mad keen modern-day plant hunter. Leo and I were literally filling rubbish bags with cuttings and divisions of plants. "Take a bit of that thing if you want it," said Bob, waving his arm nonchalantly towards a little grey sedum. "What is it?" asked Leo. "Just sedum Vera Jamison," I replied quietly, so as to not offend Bob. Acquisitive plantsmen try not to offend Bob Cherry. Leo kept on asking, and I kept on answering. Then, with both of them ignoring me, Bob told Leo that there was a label in it. I rummaged around in the plant for the label so that I could loudly prove myself correct. Then staggered and swam as I read the scribbled pencil label, Sedum Ruprectii. We stripped the plant of cuttings. Now it has to live up to huge expectations from both of us as I raved about it to Leo all the way home. So join me for tomorrow for episode 12, when I'll be reading about just how I really felt like that I'd compromised the process through just the sheer sense of speed, was really worried whether the garden was going to look anything like as good as I wanted it to, largely because of just how much of a crazy rush that I was in. See you tomorrow.